All right, girls, welcome to tonight's team call. It is Wednesday, August 16th. I am Corey Mayo, your CEO and founder of Team Living Healthy and Fit. And tonight we are going to be talking about content creation. Somebody just got out of bed and wants to say hello. Say hi.
Hi.
Blow everybody kisses and then you need to go to bed. Good job, buddy. Okay, give me a kiss. Go to bed. No. Go to bed. Okay. So tonight we are going to talk about content creation. I have taken this content that I'm going to share with you a little bit from what I've learned over the years. It is a combination of a few of the presentations that I saw at Summit back in July, and also one that I recently watched from Andrea Crowder. So I'm really excited to share this with you. Hopefully this will help you to start creating more of your story, getting more of yourself out there, creating valuable posts, and really connecting with your followers. Because how many of you hate seeing like the salesy pitches all the time on your feeds and you just scroll right past them? A couple weeks ago, we talked about becoming that white noise. We want to avoid being that white noise. We don't want people to scroll past our posts. We want people to seek our posts out and be excited that we are sharing something with them. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and, thanks, Karina, you can see me too. I'm going to go ahead and screen share here, and we'll get on with our presentation. Okay, gonna hide that up there. Okay, so tonight, like I said, we are talking about content creation. Okay, why do we care about what we post? Our content is our storefront, right? That's how people know who we are. We don't have a brick and mortar store, okay? Like if you went somewhere to purchase something, our social media is the platform that we use as our storefront. So we need to care about what we're posting because it's representing who we are. It is how our followers and potential clients connect or disconnect with us, you guys. We always hear it's how they connect with us, but if we're not giving them enough, if we're not providing them with value, they are just as easily going to unfollow or scroll right past us or disconnect with us. So keep that in mind too. It's our way to provide value, okay? It makes us stand out from the white noise on social media. We don't want to be just another MLM pitching our followers all the time. So remember this: jab, 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 right hook. So maybe you're a newer coach. We don't want to be inviting or pitching all the time, okay? A lot of times our posts are going to be just providing value, a little bit of inspiration. We're going to talk about how we can do those things in the upcoming slides, but we don't always want to be saying, you know, do you want to join me? Message me if you want in, like or comment below if you want to join me. Call to actions are wonderful, but there is a time and a place for them. So we want to remember that we're not constantly pitching and we're providing value the majority of the time, so that when we do give that jab, or I'm sorry, when we do give that right hook and we ask for the invite or we ask for that call to action, people are going to jump on it because they haven't seen it 20 other times in the last 20 posts that we've made, okay? Top tips for creating valuable content. Number one is going to be just share your life as it's happening, okay? Number two is 3 questions you can ask yourself before you create the post or before you actually hit post. Bless you, Hannah. Number 3, you're the only person I can see right now. Number 3, creating your brand. You are more than just Beachbody, okay? Yes, you're more than Beachbody. I know that that's something that we kind of forget when we become coaches. We feel like we constantly have to be working, or we have to be on, or we have to be all Beachbody. We're so much more than that, okay? We have to learn to stand in front of the products. Yes, we work with Beachbody, but we are so much more as a person, and our brand is so much more, okay? Number 4 is creating a professional look. And number 5, ways to share your story. So number 1, we're going to dive into just share your life as it's happening. Share your life as it's happening. What's on your mind? What are your current struggles? What are your current goals? And what are your current triumphs? What are some milestones that you've accomplished? So things that are happening right now, real time. There's things that are constantly happening to us or for us or with us or around us, you guys. Our lives are not boring. I know that maybe you're a stay-at-home mom, or you've had the same routine for a number of years that you can feel like your life is boring, or like you don't have any value to provide to people, or there's really not a whole lot going on. I promise you, there's always something that you can share to inspire. So some different things you can think about. What's on your mind? Maybe something in your personal development has really struck home for you. You can talk about that and how that relates to you. It's most likely going to relate to somebody that's following you. What are your current struggles? Don't be afraid to share your struggles, you guys. We are not perfect, and we don't want to put this persona that we are perfect, because that's when people disconnect with us, okay? Share your struggles, but be sure to share how you're going to overcome that struggle and how you're going to move forward, okay? You have to put that positive spin on it. What are your current goals? You might not be where you want to be yet, but that's okay. That's a part of this journey. That's what makes you relatable, is the fact that you see a bigger picture. You see a bigger vision. You might not be there yet, but you're going to work your hardest to get there. And what are your current triumphs? Don't worry about it gloating, or the negative people who are going to have something bad to say because they're jealous of the fact that you're moving forward in your life. Celebrate that. Celebrate the small milestones. Hannah, I'm going to use you for an example. You recently posted how you were able to do, I think, 3 inchworms and so many push-ups. And you said, oh, it may be small to some, but that's huge for me. Celebrate that. You guys, that is what people connect with. You made a huge leap in your fitness journey. That's huge. That's something that we should all celebrate. And we forget to celebrate the small things like that. And we're always looking for that big prize, that big end goal. But it's the celebration of the small things that make us more relatable, that get people excited and keep us excited to keep moving forward with our own journey. Keep a journal and write things down as they are happening. Maybe you have an iPhone and you have like a note section of different things that, like topics, you can just make a notes of topics that you want to discuss, because as quickly as things come into my brain, they leave just as quickly. So I have to write everything down. I have a daily to-do list that I check off, and I'm constantly editing that. So don't be afraid to keep a journal or keep a note section on your phone so that you can remember different topics. And the bonus tip here is to post about them as they're happening. Post real life. You have that real life energy, you have that real life excitement, or maybe that real life vulnerability as it's happening in real time. It's going to be impactful if you write it down and you remember, and then you make the post later. But even if you create the post in real time and you save it to the note section on your phone and share it later, because maybe you can't share it at the time, or maybe you just posted something, or you know that evenings are a better time to post your content, write it in real time and when it's happening, because you tend to be more connected to the energy, which is going to make your followers more connected to you when they read your story, okay? So 3 questions that you can ask yourself before actually hitting post. Is this inspiring? Is this informative? Is this entertaining? We constantly want to make sure that the posts that we're creating are providing either inspiration, they're providing value or information to people, or it's entertaining. It's something that would stop your scroll and you would laugh, or you would engage, or you would lift that person up if they were struggling. Different things like that, you guys. You want to make sure that you're connecting and drawing your followers in, okay? You want to get that engagement. And if it's not inspiring, if it's not informative, and if it's not entertaining, it's the post for you. And that's being perfectly honest. It's a selfish post that is for you and for you only, okay? You can type it out if you need to, but delete it. It's not going to get any traction. It's not going to inspire, inform, or entertain anyone. So therefore, it's a waste of space on your storefront. Okay? Creating your brand. So we have a couple slides here because this is the mother load. Okay? This is the big piece of who you are, how you represent yourself on your storefront, and how people perceive us. Okay? So what is your brand? I love when I see other people's content or another post, maybe a top coach or a very successful coach, a post that they created and it blows up, different things like that. Use those people for inspiration, okay? Use those posts. Use how they're staging their photos and the color schemes and the wording and all of that. Use that as inspiration. But you are your own person, you guys. That is not being authentic if we take their content or take their idea exactly how they did it and just replicate it, okay? You want to be authentic to who you are and having your own brand. So what is your brand? Your brand is your story. It's your message. A lot of people refer to our mess. So the mess that we have in our life, the chaos, the struggles, the vulnerable times, our mess is our message. It's your life, you guys. Don't overcomplicate it. It's our life that is our brand. It becomes our brand because it's who we are. So one way that you can look at it is like when you look at a magazine, okay? There's usually the topics on the front of the magazine, the top, whatever, we'll say top 5 topics or headlines that are covered in that magazine for that issue, right? So what are your 5 headlines? You are not just Beachbody, right? So what are your 5 headlines? Mine are my weight loss journey, fitting in fit. I am a busy mom of 2 who is constantly on the run. And yes, I could make a ton of excuses. I used to make a ton of excuses, but I fit it in. I make it happen. 80-20 with balance in life, okay? Not being perfect, not aiming to be perfect, but just trying to be the best mom, the best wife, and the best person that I can be. And that's just creating balance. A healthy life with my family, okay? That's something I'm very passionate about, is educating my kids on why we don't choose cereal in the cereal aisle. I just recently started letting them get cereal, and it's organic cereal that has all natural ingredients in it. But that's something that's very new, but I educate them on why we don't choose other things. That's something that's passionate to me. You might not have kids yet. You might not be as strict as I am when it comes to that, and that's fine because you are you. And for me, the last one is living with freedom. That is something I do not have yet. It is something that I have more of than what we used to, but it is something I'm striving for, and that is something that I talk about in my posts very frequently, okay? So make a list, and you might have a list of 20 things, and you just narrow it down to the 5 things that you really relate to and really make up who you are, okay? That's going to help you to create your brand, and it's going to help you to mold and articulate your posts around those 5 topics. Okay, so 3 questions. Number 3 is questions to help you create your brand, okay? Number 1, what makes you memorable? Number 2, what brand do you relate to? So do you have different things that you relate to currently that you can kind of pull inspiration? Maybe you connect with Meg. Maybe you connect with Angie Belmar. Maybe you connect with, I don't know, I was going to say Scotty Hobbs, but that's not really a good example because he's a guy. Maybe you connect with Self Magazine because they talk about leading health and wellness and different things like that. What do you connect with? What does your image say about you? So when you scroll your news feed or when you scroll your actual profile, what are you getting? What vibe are you getting? How apparent is it that you're a coach? Do you talk about your lifestyle as a coach? Do you talk about how you fit it into your daily schedule? Do you talk about where you want to go? What is your vision? What is your dream? You may not be there yet, but where you're going, what you've already accomplished as a coach. Are you talking about those things? What niche groups do you relate to? So who are people who are like you? I love to talk to other mommies, especially moms of boys, because I have 2 boys and they're totally different than girls. So I just tend to have more in common with those people. I love our Doberman. We've always had Doberman. So I connect with those people, or just animal people in general, on a different level than I do with somebody who maybe doesn't have animals. So who are your niche groups? And how do you want to make people feel? Do you want to inspire them? Do you want to uplift them? Do you want to empower them? Do you want them to feel healthy and confident? What does that look like for you? How do you want to make them feel? Number 4, make lists each month. So this is a way that you can, month by month, you're kind of reinventing yourself and you're morphing into a new person, because we're constantly changing. If you are a coach and you are being a product of the product, you're dialing in your nutrition and you are listening to personal development, 3 things that we should all be doing as a coach. You are constantly going to be changing and evolving, and you need to remember that those are things, points of interest that we can talk about. I just saw a thing, but it went away. Oh, there it is. So make lists each month so that you're kind of changing your story. You're changing your tune. You're keeping yourself relevant. Okay. Some questions that you can ask yourself. What makes me special, unique, or different? What have I overcome? So again, talking about those struggles. And what's normal about me? We don't have to be this crazy person that's different all the time, you guys. We can be boring and normal too every once in a while. And that makes us totally relatable, right? That makes people who are normal and maybe don't have a lot of craziness going on in their life connect with us. So it's a way to give a little bit of everything. Dana, somehow you got unmuted. I got it though. No worries. Okay, so making your list. What makes you special, unique, and different? What have you overcome in that last month? And what's normal about you this month? Okay, if you are a mom to young children going back to school, normalcy right now is the crazy and chaotic lifestyle of going back to school, getting your kids ready, doing orientation days, different things like that. That's going to be relatable to all the other moms who are following you, and their kids are going back to school, and life is a bit crazy right now, and routine is going to be settling in, but it's totally crazy right now. Okay, so then the next one is making a professional look. Lighting is huge, you guys. So I'm going to take my ring off right now. Karina has one of these. This little guy was like maybe 10 bucks. I think it was like 10 bucks or 8 bucks on Amazon. Super cheap. It clips onto my laptop, it clips onto my phone, and it's rechargeable. And it has 3 different settings on it. Lighting is so important. So important. You don't want the light behind you. Wow. What happens when the light's back here? You don't see my face is good. My face is probably darker than when it's up here in front of me, right? So make sure that when you're taking pictures, you either have really good lighting, and this is a good time to talk about this because our days are getting shorter and pretty soon it's going to be dark really way too early. But make sure you have really good lighting, or you have a light ring, or you are staging your pictures during the day when there is good light. Now, you don't want the sun beaming in your face, but you want good natural light coming in, and utilize that as much as you possibly can. Okay, so really think about lighting. Use different angles and poses. Selfies are not the only thing to use. And honestly, selfies get mundane and people just scroll past those and they become white noise too. Change things up and use different angles, different pictures, stage something every once in a while. It only takes a couple minutes to stage a photo. I'm going to skip to number 4 because it kind of goes with this, to not just take selfies all the time. If you have yourself a little tripod, I have one like this, and then I have one over there that's a selfie stick and also a tripod. So it's like 4 foot tall or something like that. Both pretty cheap on Amazon. I think this little guy, which you can like bend and articulate, or you can contort, I guess is the word I'm looking for, onto things so it stays. I think that was like $25, and I think that other one was probably pretty close. But it's a 4 foot stand, and it's also a selfie stick, okay? Use that to stage a photo or a video. Something, okay, so this picture down here in the bottom, actually all of these pictures were actually a video, okay? I cannot by myself take a clear picture of me flexing and have a good angle. It just does not happen. I've tried it to try and do the timer and get myself flexed and set up and then like be worried about did the timer go off or not. I will simply hit the video button. I will go and stand in front of the camera and I will flex and I will move myself a little bit and I kind of check myself in the mirror and get myself to where I think I'm good. And then I'll go back to the video and I'll play it back. It's probably, 20 seconds or whatever. Play it back. And when I have a good pose like I had here, I will pause it, make sure everything's off of the screen. So like the pause button is off and like the bar at the top and the bottom are gone. And I will screenshot my screen. Super easy. Same thing with this one up here. I was doing a video for my page. It was an ab video. But I just simply took the video and paused it and took a screenshot of it. So I had a good, clear picture of me doing something other than this, right? That's boring. Everybody does selfies all the time, okay? So change up your angles and don't be afraid to get away from the selfies. This picture down here on the right, I was staging that it was a spring. There's not even any leaves on the trees yet, but it was a spring and it was a beautiful day. And in the post, I was talking about how convenient it is. I can do my workouts at home outside and enjoy the beautiful day. Nice little shaker cup here. I have my laptop in the picture because I use my tripod to take a picture or to take a video and then pause it and take a screenshot of me doing my cool down after my workout. So that's just a super easy tip that has helped me change up my poses and my different pictures and things like that along the way, okay? Color scheme. So part of your brand is your color scheme. Obviously, my scheme is going to be more corals and blues and grays with some gold in there. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but like even on our team page, everything is very cohesive and I'm using the same color schemes all the time. It's the same colors I use on my page. I don't use them all the time, but I try to make all of my images kind of flow together, okay? So that they are cohesive and it looks like me. And then my favorite apps. My phone is right here. Okay, so these are my favorite apps that I wanted to share with you girls that I use on a very regular basis for all of my editing. And honestly, I only use a handful of them. I use Avery, which is Aviary. It looks like I don't know if you guys can see this because I can't see. Can you see it? Not really, huh? It looks like the Instagram little camera, but it's white, okay? So Avery is what I use for the majority of my editing. And honestly, almost every picture I take, if I go into this is what it looks like. When I go into the editing, I go to the adjust and I take the brightness and I take my brightness all the way up. And then I play around with, so then I'll hit okay. And then I usually add just a tiny bit of contrast back so I'm not like washed out. But brightening your pictures, remember we talked about lighting. It's so important to have that good lighting hitting your face to capture people's attention when they're scrolling your feed, okay? So then I'll put a little bit of contrast in. When it's a food picture, I tend to use the vibrance option to add, because when you add all that lighting, it washes out the food and it looks kind of blah. So I'll actually add a little bit of vibrance back in to add that pop of color to the food. So the greens are green and the reds are red, okay? Then, I really didn't need to save that, but I did. Then the other app that I've recently been using is Facetune, and it's Facetune, Facetune. And I did this picture earlier, but basically it's a way that you can whiten your teeth. You can smooth out your complexion. So if you have a Samsung Note, there's that beauty option on there, but on the iPhone there isn't that option. So it's, excuse me, just a nice way to go in, and you can just with your finger kind of swipe on your face on your picture, and it just clears up blemishes. It just kind of softens your pores and just kind of makes everything look really nice and clean. And the last two that I use very frequently are PicsArt, which is PICSART. It's a little P with like a pink, purple, blue background. That one is what I use for all my collages, okay? And then the last one is WordSwag. I don't believe that that's available unless you have an iPhone. That's actually one of my favorite apps, and I'm so thankful we have iPhone now because I love that app, and I couldn't have it before. But WordSwag is amazing for adding anything, like the Miracle Morning post that you guys saw in the group, or my recent one for my fitness videos that I was doing. That's what I use to put the words on there, and you can fade them in and out so that they're not real loud and in your face. You can just do a lot of different things with them. So those are my favorite apps that I like to use. Okay. Okay, so the last one is how to articulate your story. We talk about our story a lot, and I know that we talk about breadcrumbing, not giving everything in one post, but just kind of a little bit here and there. And this was on Andrea Crowler's video that I watched recently, and I just really like the way that she used these bullet points to flow through her story, because sometimes it's hard. We should be sharing our story, a little bit of our story, in every post that we make, because it's a part of why we work out, it's a part of why we do our nutrition, it's a part of why we coach, and it's our life. So our story is kind of in everything, but you should be sharing a good chunk of your story every week, once a week at least, sharing who you are. So how can you do that to change things up is growing up or in the past these were my dreams, but this is how I lost track. What changed everything is why and how it worked, where I am now, and here's how I can help you. Okay, so it's growing up or in my past. These were my dreams, and this is how I lost track. What changed everything, why and how it worked, where I am now, here's how I can help you. Now, remember how we talked about we don't want to be pitching all the time, and we don't want to be constantly having that call to action. So you can every now and then change up, here's how I can help you. You can put, and this is where I am going. Okay, so we can add that in. This is where I am now, and this is where I am going. Okay. And the last slide is just have your own brand. There is no such thing as failure, only redirection. Reinvent yourself and stay relevant. So if a post, I know that I've said this a million times before. If a post doesn't work, try it again. Try it at a different time of the day. Try it with a different picture. Make sure that your pictures, while you're doing all this work to change up what the pictures look like and to have good lighting and to really put thought into them, make sure that they go with the content that you're providing. Okay? That video of me stretching after my workout, that was a BOD perfect image. I wasn't going to talk about my nutrition. because there was no relevance to that with my nutrition, right? That was totally relevant to how I can do my workouts anywhere, or because I'm a busy mom, I'm able to fit it in when I can, fitting in fit, part of my brand. So I hope that helps you girls to, really kind of tidy things up. It's not that we're failures or that we aren't doing good enough, but we constantly have to be doing better, right? We have to be growing and be willing to learn and to change things up so that we do stay relevant. Right now, social media is going through a really big change, okay? What was working isn't working anymore. And there's so many MLMs out there that are just spamming people and just looking for that quick sale, that a lot more people are putting their guards up. That doesn't mean that we can't help them, and that doesn't mean that we're going to fail in this business. It just means we have to take a different approach. And we can either say, okay, I'm willing to learn and I'm going to be coachable and I'm going to work on reinventing myself. I'm going to work on being relevant. Or we can kick and scream and say, I'm not going to change. Well, I can promise you, if you kick and scream and say that I'm just going to do it the way that I do it, you're not going to be successful. You're going to become that white noise and get lost among the crowd. Okay? Yeah? Does anybody have any questions? Any thoughts? No? Nothing? You guys are always so quiet after calls. Dana's thinking. I know that I posted that that collage, and that was a really, really, really good post for me. I actually saw April post something very similar, and hers was over the last year, her postpartum journey, and I saw it really touched me. When I saw that image pop up, I read through it, and then I really liked how she worded that and just how it came out. And then I saw that it did really, really well. So I'm like, well, I'm going to do something like that, because that's genius to do a collage like that. I do side by sides all the time, but I'm not one to do a ton of pictures. So I've never even considered doing something like that. And then she posted it in her team page, and she's like, you guys need to do this. You need to use this for inspiration, do it. And I was like, I was actually already going to kind of steal that idea and use it. Not copy it, but I was going to use that for inspiration. So what I did is I didn't just do the last year, and I'm not just newly postpartum, my baby's 4. So I did my journey over the last 5 years. I did my day 1 to now. And it got amazing, amazing feedback. And it was inspiring, and it was a good post. Those are the different things that we can do. You might not have a huge transformation, but you have a transformation. You have a story. So maybe you're not going to use 9 pictures like I did. Maybe you're going to use 6, or maybe you're going to use 4. And you're going to talk about the last 2 years instead of the last 5 years. Or you're going to talk about the last 6 months instead of the last year. Make it yours, you guys, but use that platform and that idea as inspiration to share your story in a different way, to compile and look at yourself, because I've seen my pictures a million times, and I know my journey, but when you put it in a format like that, you surprise yourself and you're like, I have come a long way. And you kind of remember, you remember those feelings, how you felt back then. Because I'll tell you this, when you get 5.5 years in, you kind of start to forget how sad you were or how unhappy you were, because you've been so happy for so long, or you've been in such a good state or in a good place for however long, that you start to forget the negativity and you start to forget the hard times. Then you start to lose connection with those people who are where you used to be. So it's okay to go back and remember how you felt then. Dana did a really good side-by-side a few days ago, I think last week. And she was blown away doing a side-by-side of her face of what she looked like a year ago or something like that compared to now. And it was like night and day. you don't even look like the same person. The happiness and the glow and the life that was in her face in the second picture is incredible. So use that as inspiration is my point. And just don't compare yourself and say, well, my journey, I am not that far along yet, or I don't have a huge transformation picture yet. But you have a story. So use those images, find images that go along with your story that you want to tell. Okay? All right, loves. Well, I won't keep you any longer if you don't have any questions. I appreciate you all being on the call. I will get the recording up just as soon as I can. And I'll see you in the morning, 6 a.m. All right, girls, have a good night.